If you are bored with martial arts games, or are looking for something more interesting, come with me to a new world with many unique and extremely attractive details. Solo Leveling is a famous Korean manga series, set in a modern social world but with monsters, hunters and even magic. 10 years ago, the world suddenly appeared many gates, behind which were tunnels leading to another world. Since the portal appeared, the world has experienced strange events. How did the main character of the series go from weakest to strongest? We invite you to watch this video summarizing the Leveling Solo series to see if there's anything interesting. Sung Jin-woo is an E-rank hunter, a hunter who must risk his life even in the weakest dungeon, so he is known as a weak hunter. Sung Jin-woo, although he is a hunter, he does not have any skills, can only earn some change through fighting ghosts. Interesting in low-level dungeons, those were the daily things he had to go through until Sung Jin-woo found a strange dungeon. In that dungeon, Sung Jin-woo and everyone found a mysterious room. Everyone was a hunter, so they didn't hesitate to open the door and enter. Inside the room were many giant statues. Giant with different shapes, people found a text written on stone, on which were written the rules of the Karthanon temple. Which states that, Rule 1. Must worship God. Second thing. Must praise God. Third thing. Must prove loyalty. Those who do not comply with the law will never return home alive. And at this moment, the door of the room suddenly closed, making everyone confused. One person did not like this feeling and immediately wanted to open the door and go home, but horror began to appear when that person held his hand on the door. The door statue suddenly swung his axe and took his life in an instant and then returned to his original position. At this time, Sung Jin-woo also discovered that the sitting statue also opened its eyes and looked at him. The one who was killed in an instant was a D-rank hunter. That made an E-rank hunter like Sung Jin-woo worry about his safety. Now suddenly from the eye of the statue shot out a laser that swept through everyone. Although Sung Jin-woo promptly warned, there were still some people who did not follow and lost their lives. But the captain of the group was quite lucky to sit down in time to follow Sung Jin-woo's words, so he only left one arm. There are some survivors who are losing their temper and losing control. At this time a young man is confident in his ability, wants to rely on speed to escape from the dungeon, but when he is about to reach the door, he is hit by a laser. Burned to ashes. At this time, Sung Jin-woo realized that if he wanted to escape this dungeon, he had to follow the rules of the Karthanon temple. Sung Jin-woo remembered the first rule of worshipping God. He used himself to experiment with his thinking and successfully found the rule of the first rule. It's a statue that will attack those whose heads are higher than its eye level, so Sung Jin-woo advises everyone to bow to the statue. Although the statue stopped attacking, a strange and terrifying smile appeared on its face. Then the statue suddenly stood up from the chair and walked towards everyone. Sung Jin-woo immediately mentioned the second rule of praising God. A person who looked like a pastor volunteered to walk up to the statue and tried praising it, but the statue didn't hesitate and stomped on him. In a flash, it caused everyone to run in panic. At this time the surrounding statues also moved and killed the people who were running away. While running away, Sung Jin-woo recognized the statues holding musical instruments. Won't attack, so he told everyone to look for the Jin instrument statues and go there. When someone approached the statues they would make sounds like they were performing musical instruments. But when Sung Jin-woo came near the statue holding the drum, it didn't move, giving him the feeling that he was about to die. At this time, because the statue did not move, Sung Jin-woo lost a leg and had to ask Jun-hee to stop the bleeding. But because the wound was too severe, Jun-hee also had the same strength as Kit when helping Sung Jin-woo to heal. At this time, the group of hunters only had 6 people left alive. At this time, the statue created a little instrument. Sung Jin-woo also realized that this was the test for the final rule, prove your faith. The group's captain was asked to go to the altar because they thought this was the responsibility he had to bear. The captain who lost one arm also had to accept that request and went to the altar. When the captain stepped up, a red flame appeared around the altar. At this time, Sung Jin-woo also asked them to bring him to the altar. Sung Jin-woo also realized the rules of the altar, so he asked for more people to come up here. The new altar would work. When there are enough people to sacrifice, the flame spread around creating blue flames and the door start to open. At this moment the statues with weapons are slowly approaching the altar, but if no one is looking, the statues will come faster. One girl couldn't stand the pressure and ran straight for the door and was able to escape. The rest of you who also understand can now run towards the door and exit. But if no one looks at the statue, all will die. Because of his leg injury, Sung Jin-woo helplessly watched others run away and leave him behind. Now there are only 3 people left. The captain wants Sung Jin-woo and Jun-hee to escape and he will stay. But just now Jun-hee couldn't move because of using too much hemostatic energy on Sung Jin-woo. Because of Jun-hee, Sung Jin-woo told the captain to take her out and he would stay here. After the 2 left, in the end, only Sung Jin-woo was left alone. Although he was alone, Sung Jin-woo still held his sword to fight back. But with the ability of an E-rank hunter, Sung Jin-woo could only eat onions in his mouth. At this moment he was hit on the altar by the statue. In the moment of dying a strong feeling of wanting to live flowed through his thoughts and a wish. If he could redo this life, he wouldn't let this happen out one more time. At this moment a notice board appeared in front of him. The system wants to play Jin-woo as a player. Although he was skeptical, he did not hesitate to agree, because he was about to die anyway. After choosing to agree, Sung Jin-woo woke up 3 days later and found himself in the hospital. When Sung Jin-woo was still doubting his life, 2 inspectors came to find Sung Jin-woo. It turned out that when they arrived at the double dungeon all the statues and everything told by the survivors had completely disappeared. At that time, only Sung Jin-woo was lying unconscious on the altar. At this time, the investigators believe that Sung Jin-woo won the lottery while he was still alive in that situation and had the ability to double awaken, as normally hunters would receive a fixed source of power later. When awakening, but there are a few special cases that will awaken a second time, so the 2 investigate and think Sung Jin-woo's time has come. So they came to check his stats. After bringing out the energy meter, they received a result of only 10 points. Even in rank E, the lowest index was 70, so the 2 investigators turned around, thinking that trash was still trash, then left Sung Jin-woo there and packed up to go home. But right now Sung Jin-woo didn't care about them because in front of him was a message board that only he could see. While Sung Jin-woo wanted to learn about it, Sung Jin-woo's younger sister came to visit. However, his sister couldn't see that system board either. When Sung Jin-woo opens an unread mail, there's a new quest. Day for him, that is to do gymnastics with the specified number of times according to the mission. If not complete the mission Sung Jin-woo will be taken to a place of punishment. But right now, Sung Jin-woo just thinks it's a joke, so he doesn't care and goes to sleep to let him rest. While Sung Jin-woo was in a sweet dream, the deadline for the mission came, and then Sung Jin-woo was brought to a strange desert with the sun's bright sunlight, while Sung Jin-woo was still in a daze. From behind there is a giant centipede preparing to turn him into dinner. As for Sung Jin-woo, he saw that his punishment was having to survive in this situation for 4 hours. After reading it, Sung Jin-woo felt like he had been dealt a blow by the system, after struggling to escape. Giant centipedes used Jin-woo for 4 hours. Was taken back to the hospital. At this time the system sent a reward after completing the punishment mission, but Sung Jin-woo fainted immediately after 4 hours of tormenting the system. After 4 days have passed since receiving the punishment mission, Sung Jin-woo realized something, that the system is not an illusion. Although only Sung Jin-woo can see it, the rewards after completing the mission were all real, and he was able to increase his own stat points, and make Sung Jin-woo think this was going to be a game and he was a player who could get stronger when he had points to increase himself. After discharge from the hospital, the first thing Sung Jin-woo does is check a key obtained from the random box when completing the daily quest. It is a key that can create a dungeon instantly. In Tuesday entrance at Hapjin Station, after using the key and entering the dungeon, the door is automatically closed. The system also tells Sung Jin-woo to kill the boss or use Mind Stone. Only you can leave the dungeon. Sung Jin-woo felt very nervous because he had never had to clear a dungeon alone. After entering, Sung Jin-woo met a ferocious wolf, of course. Keep more than dog at your house already. Sung Jin-woo was so scared that he couldn't move his legs, but when the wolf attacked, he barely avoided it and realized that his body had become much lighter and became unexpectedly flexible. Sung Jin-woo easily punched the wolf into the wall, making him unable to believe that he was so strong. But the wolf was still very strong, so that attack only made it angry and rushed to attack him. While dodging, Sung Jin-woo was also thinking about what to do to defeat this monster. At this time, Sung Jin-woo remembered that there was a sword in his inventory, so he immediately pulled it out from his inventory, his own, and cut straight into the wolf's head. With just one slasher, Sung Jin-woo was able to defeat it, and the system also announced that he had leveled up, but before he could think any further, there were two more slowly approaching him, but with the sword and the having just gained confidence after slashing monsters, Sung Jin-woo is no longer afraid. Sung Jin-woo rushes in and cuts one in half, then tells the other that compared to the monsters I met in that room, you're still young and green. After listening to Sung Jin-woo, the other one got scared and slowly withdrew. This time, Sung Jin-woo also had time to review his stats and understand that every time he leveled up, he would get 1 stat point, and completing the daily quest will get 3 points. The monsters he kills also drop items, and the system also has a shop to trade, but there are level restrictions. Sung Jin-woo was still thinking about what to do next when the wolf that had just retreated returned to its pack. It's true that the dog is close to the house. If you don't fight back, just go home and call your accomplices. Sung Jin-woo now has no other choice but to rush in and slash these bastards to death, with increasingly successful and sharp sword attacks. The more Sung Jin-woo fights, the stronger he becomes, because he levels up continuously and the wolves are becoming less and less. After destroying a pack of wolves, another pack came and did not give Sung Jin-woo a chance to breathe oxygen, but Sung Jin-woo was able to overcome it and even achieved the title of Wolfslayer. After destroying one pack after another and destroying all the wolves, his sword was also chipped. But his harvest was extremely rich, with 34 wolf teeth, 2 blunt knives and an adventurer's shirt, and a mysterious stone also made him quite satisfied in this trip.